chapter 245 to 246. The following days in Sunagakure were quite peaceful by Rei's standards. Sure, some cocksure ninjas who just returned from missions, hence they missed Rasa's and Pakura's match, deemed it wise to challenge Pakura's new authority. And as expected, they got ass-whooping of a lifetime for their effort. Pakura wasn't killing them. Suna was far too weak for that. She, however, made sure they learned their lesson in humility and subservience well. Few burns here, few cut tendons there, and even the bravest ninjas experienced the fear of being crippled for life with no way to provide for themselves and their family, which then fed their survival instinct, and voila, Pakura got the necessary obedience. The sharp decrease of discontent background noise after these events was surely just Rei's overabundant imagination. Honestly, it wasn't even that cruel of a method, and the Suna ninjas knew it. If it was Rasa in Pakura's place, he would probably execute them or someone from their family in front of them, depending on their importance in the village. That didn't make the man evil. That simply made him an effective leader of a militaristic village full of trigger-happy professional killers. One simply had to somehow keep his soldiers in line. Rei was actually glad the tension in the village eased after a few days. Pakura portrayed herself as a hard-ass but a reasonable leader, and as such, she was accepted quite readily. It did help that the Suzumiya clan and their allies put their support behind Pakura, which stacked up nicely with the financial help from the Uzushio trading company Rei prepared even before the actual grudge match. Sunagakure was on the fast track to full recovery, and people noticed. It was quite hard to miss the increase of readily available and cheap food, better ninja supplies, more metal deliveries for the forges, and overall increase in the living conditions. Frankly, it really didn't take long for Pakura to be praised to kingdoms come after that. Rei spent this time leisurely, watching Pakura's frustrated expression while drinking sake in her office. It wasn't that he was enjoying her suffering. Rei knew Pakura well enough to understand she enjoyed working. She, for some inexplicable reason, enjoyed the paperwork. She never felt it was a burden. She loved doing it and figuratively building something with her own hands. The horror. In his capacity as a responsible husband, Rei simply had to show her what she was missing by relaxing right in front of her with a satisfied smirk while she worked. No, the suggestive and heated looks he was throwing at her most definitely had nothing to do with her frustrated expression and slightly lustful gleam in her eyes. No. Rei was definitely not having fun by subtly trying to make her use her table for a more productive activity. The real kicker, however, was seeing Pakura interact with her new charges, the Sabaku siblings. Much to Pakura's dismay, after remaking Gaara's seal, the young 8-year-old boy who no longer heard shukaku and could now sleep peacefully, got it into his half-insane head that she was his new mother because she had beaten Rasa. Anyone can imagine the kind of problems it caused for Pakura, almost as well as the amount of amusement it provided for Rei. When one day Gaara came to the kitchen and in a deadpan voice asked Pakura what monkey sex was and if it could really prove his existence, well, let's just say Kankuro got a thrashing of his lifetime by both Temari and Pakura. As for the young puppeteer, nothing much changed. Pakura was cordial to him and let him pursue his dream of becoming the best puppeteer of Suna. There wasn't much interaction between them because the boy somewhat resented Pakura. Thankfully, Temari was putting quite the effort into making him understand Pakura's side of things, if only to prevent him from doing something they would all regret. Temari was the most peculiar of the trio. She became Pakura's personal kunoichi. That was one very old tradition coming from the Warring States era. To be honest, it was barely even seen in use these days. Simply put, ninjas without a clan had quite a hard time bettering themselves since nobody felt like sharing techniques and discoveries. It wasn't like nowadays where hidden villages have whole libraries of stuff the clans are willing to share, and then some from the civilian-born ninjas who made their own discoveries and shared with the entire village out of sheer stupidity, propaganda, brainwashing, for free. One way for those clanless ninjas during that era to get learning material was to bind oneself in service to a feudal lord who usually had their own small libraries on ninja stuff, exactly for the purpose of attracting these special servants. Tamari swore the oaths and was registered as Pakura's sword kunoichi, and that was that. While there was no loyalty seal involved, Tamari was fully aware she was sealing her fate and binding it to Pakura's. Rogue Ninja had it hard, but Rogue Sword Ninjas had it a lot harder. Their problems were no longer just hidden villages and occasional opportunistic bounty hunters. Nobles from all countries knew about personal ninjas and laws around them, and they took it very seriously, even though it was rarely used nowadays, if only to prevent the idea from spreading. There was a reason why most ninjas avoided swearing their loyalty to individuals like a plague. Defecting a hidden village meant a chance at life in another hidden village. Nobles didn't care, so no really preventive laws were put into use on an international scale. Little 10-year-old Tamari started to study the mannerisms of servants and drove Pakura half-mad with her childish and innocent attempts at proving herself. Especially since Pakura only wanted the girl to be a loyal apprentice who she could call for in times of need to fight by her side. Alas, Pakura gained a small, bossy maid with a penchant for cute pouting and teary eyes. Seeing Pakura's flustered look as she tried to handle the 3 children, Rei really had to admit that taking over Tsunagakure was indeed worth it. Well, I must admit, I didn't expect you to provoke a grudge match only to do this. Isn't it a bit much, disrupting the entire country alongside its hidden village only to, I have no clue how to call it without sounding ridiculous. Konan deadpanned as she stared at her husband's newest creation. Pakura was currently handling important affairs in Tsunagakure, and unlike Ringo, she loved it, so there were usually no shadow clones and blackmailing other people to do her job involved. Rei thankfully didn't stay in Suna all the time. Even though Tsunade was away for a few months, leaving only a few reassuring efforts that she is on a mission to better her healing arts, Rei still had 3 other women whose needs he had to satisfy. Konan was glad she didn't have to drag him out of the Tsunagakure by force. It would make their bedroom activities that much more awkward. Not really. You know we have a lot of mountains that contain gold in them. This was the fastest and easiest way to mine them all without putting much effort or resources into it. Just imagine it, Konan. With how massive these mountain ranges are, they contain more wealth than the richest daimyos are worth. Rei excitedly exclaimed, looking over his latest experiment. Something most would frown at. Conan raised an eyebrow and regarded Rasa's reanimated corpse with another judgmental look before closing her eyes and scrunching her face as if she was in some kind of mental pain. Let me get this straight, Rei. You fucked with Wind Country's food import negotiations, one of the most important events in that country. You spent 2 months to ensure grudge match between Rasa and Pakura, effectively removing the Sabaku clan from the rule and installing Pakura in their place. You made Pakura seemingly get rid of Rasa's body while covertly snatching it with your seals. You made your own Fuinjutsu version of summoning, Impure World Reincarnation, the jutsu you found in the Senju Library, the same jutsu that binds souls of the deceased into service of the user. And you did all that in order to, Conan's even voice cracked, to make Rasa's corpse into some kind of mining machine because you could not be bothered to research seals that could do it instead? Seals that could most likely mine more than just gold? Conan intently stared at Rei, her eyebrow twitching, causing him to realize that maybe he should have discussed his plans and motivations with somebody other than Mei, who was in post-coital bliss, before he actually proceeded with them. Well, when you put it that way, Rei awkwardly rubbed the back of his head with a sheepish expression plastered all over his face. In his defense, there really was a lot of gold in the mountains behind his hidden village. Author note, few finally finished the Tsunagakure arc. Author note, for those who won't get it, This is somewhat of a flashback or Tsunade's point of view of what was happening on her side while Rei and Konan were busy with the Sunagakure. While Rei and Konan focused on Sunagakure, Tsunade holed herself up in the Fire Daimyo's library, studying various laws and putting together document after document that would help her own plan. She was no stranger to intense studying and memorization. After all, medic nins were one of the most knowledgeable people in the shinobi ranks, and she was the best of them. To treat an injury, one first had to know the cause, and that, unfortunately, meant the medic nin needed extensive knowledge of jutsu and its effects, of genetics, of illnesses, of practically everything that could cause harm. That said, it was only 1 month since she left the village on the other side, but after the last month practically swimming in law books, Tsunade had had enough for a lifetime. Not even the castle guards or the 12 guardian ninja of the Fire Daimyo dared to approach her, recognizing her crankiness the second she stepped into the room with her massive scowl and wild, irritated gait. Thankfully, she had enough presence of mind to wear her special genjutsu. If the Konoha ninjas in the 12 Guardians recognized her, Tsunade was almost sure she would have had to crack some skulls by now. Tsunade dropped into her designated place, right next to the most favorite concubine of the Fire Daimyo, who still occasionally threw her suspicious and guarded glances. Tsunade long ago learned to ignore the polite fake who thought she would stoop so low as to try her hand at seducing the daimyo. The same man to whom she refused to be married to in her youth. Not that Tsunade could in any way refute the suspicion or provide some kind of proof. She couldn't just start proclaiming she was the wife of the hidden daimyo of the Spring Country, now could she? She was, after all, in disguise of Nadetsu Jusen, the president of the Biribiri Company who was currently on vacation in the Fire Capital and took a shine to the daimyo's library. It was quite hilarious, too, eating right next to Sarutobi Asuma while the boy tried to flirt with her, not recognizing her even after a month of deflecting his advances. Poor Kurenai. Tsunade could just shake her head. She was the head medic during the Third Shinobi War, and that meant something. Ninjas trusted medics. They talked to them and said things they would not tell others, especially when both the patient and the medic were kunoichi. The little academy student Kurenai Yuhi was very forthcoming with the information about her crush on the youngest of the Sarutobi boys. Tsunade already decided to approach the woman and offer her a chance at learning how to medic nin from her. The girl had incredible chakra control, and if Tsunade wasn't so sure she would have had to leave after the Third War, she would have taken the girl into her care there and then. Then again, at that time, nothing was ever so simple. Tsunade wasn't even sure if or where her new home would be during these uncertain days. She only knew she wanted to be with Rei and that Rei was about to defect from Kiri. Look at me, getting all nostalgic and stuff. She inwardly rebuked herself, trying to cover the small, gentle smile that bloomed on her face by taking a sip from her hot chocolate milk. 50 years of age, huh? I guess I finally left my puberty by the Senju and Uzumaki standards. Tsunade giggled, attracting the attention of the people dining with her. Oh, someone is in a good mood today, Asuma quipped, causing the Fire Daimyo to lift his eyebrow at Tsunade, who simply shrugged. I finished with my research, she nonchalantly announced, causing the daimyo to smile warmly at his childhood friend. That's good to know, Nade. Will you be leaving soon, then? You should inform me about these things sooner. I need to throw you a goodbye party, he giddily exclaimed. Honestly, the man was very grateful to Rei for the deals between his nation and the Spring Country. The economy was steadily improving. The previously tarnished diplomatic ties started to repair. The still leery allies started to lose their tension caused by the fuck-up called Jiraiya's wedding. And it all was the influence of the trade agreements with the Spring Country. Really, Tsunade did him an incredible favor by bringing her husband for a visit. The Fire Daimyo knew Tsunade's goal and had no problem with it. Then again, He would not give her active support either. Not that he deluded himself. She needed him. She could simply go and take what she wanted, taking names and kicking balls. He would know. He could still feel the kick to the balls she delivered to him when they were kids after she got to know about their impending betrothal. The fire daimyo shuddered, thanking heaven Tsunade didn't have her super-strength technique back then. "You are already leaving, Lady Nadetsu?" Asuma butted into the conversation with wide eyes, earning himself a few incredulous looks. The man was one of the fire daimyo's guardians, and his place behind the table was only a courtesy to his father. Him interrupting the conversation between the daimyo and his guest was one massive breach of etiquette. Then again, he still was the son of the Hokage, and as such, the daimyo had begged Tsunade to bear with him after the first time he tried to flirt with her. Otherwise, she would have long ago sent the young monkey back to Konoha via an intimate meeting of his ching with her fist, getting a lift by the Kinetic Force Taxi Agency. Asuma really found Nadetsu Jusen enchanting. She had dark skin, was petite with a nice curvaceous body, had a pretty face, melodious voice, and exotic hair color. She was a beautiful woman, and her beauty was only enhanced by the fact she was the president of the biggest and richest international company in the entire elemental nations. Asuma wasn't really proud of being the son of the Hokage. It wasn't his achievement. Not really. Despite that, he was a ninja and knew how to make use of his special advantage. Yet, Hokage's son or not, Nadetsu didn't even try being polite with him. Now, Asuma had his manly pride and refused to back down. Even he had no idea when exactly did his passing interest change to something more, something genuine. Unfortunately for him, now it seemed his pride would not be sated. Asuma wasn't some bratty child, however. He noticed the looks aimed at him from the favored mistress of the daimyo and his children. Not that he cared. As long as the daimyo is not reprimanding him, the others couldn't do much. "May I inquire where you will be going, Lady Nadetsu?" he asked. Tsunade's first knee-jerk reaction was to tell him where he could stick his question. Then, however, she got a better idea. "Ah, I wanted to visit Konoha because I honestly admire Tsunade Senju. You are from Konoha, Asuma-san, right? What do you think about Tsunade? What kind of person is she?" Tsunade calmly asked, making the daimyo stifle his guffaw. Asuma frowned and scrunched his eyebrows. "Oh, her?" he remarked, and his dislike almost poured from him. "You shouldn't admire that woman, Lady Nadetsu." He started in a tone as if he was giving her some kind of profound advice, to which Tsunade could only amusedly lift her eyebrow at the man. "Oh, and why is that? I heard she is the best doctor in the world. That's something admirable, don't you think?" "I am not disputing that. She really is the best." Asuma nodded, before leaning towards Nadetsu as if he was about to disclose some kind of secret. "But she is also a very traitorous person." "Oh my, you don't say!" Tsunade mock gasped in surprise while Daimyo gaped at Asuma. "Well, just wait until my plan is finished, brat. I will show you traitorous. It was your father who let my clan be hunted like animals without alerting anyone." She inwardly seethed. Yes, the second the Third War ended, she left the village. Nobody can find her. My father tried for years to locate her. Asuma sighed in exasperation. "He put so much attention to that bitch who knows where," he grumbled. "She had a responsibility to the village, Lady Nadetsu. I am sure you understand. You too can't just ditch the company and go do whatever you wish whenever you wish." "That's exactly what I did, though." Tsunade inwardly deadpanned. "Tsunade was our medic. Everything she knows, she has Konoha to thank for, my father to thank for." Asuma dramatically shook his head. "And yet she simply doesn't appreciate all the effort put into her." "What do they teach kids in Konoha nowadays?" Tsunade mused while her eyebrow twitched. "All of my medical knowledge is from my own research or the Senju library. Sure, the old monkey was a good teacher when he finally got to teaching me something. That said, He was far too preoccupied with Orochimaru and later Jiraiya, who, according to him, didn't have a clan to support them. And now his spawn wants me to kowtow to the old man for basically neglecting me? Tsunade's lips started turning into a frown. At least she trained her apprentice, Shizune. That woman is a very good medic, too. She is a gentle and very good person, Asuma said, stopping all of Tsunade's displeasure at the mention of her old apprentice. Something in how he said it didn't mesh well with Tsunade. Do you know Miss Shizune well, Mr. Asuma? Ah. Well, we dated a bit back in the day. Asuma shrugged. She is a fine woman, but I don't think she is the one for me. She was more of a fling, to be honest. I am far too free-spirited and need somebody more exotic, maybe even feisty, who could rein me in. He winked at Tsunade, who stared at him with an unamused look. The last time Anko contacted her, Shizune was basically swooning about her Sarutobi boyfriend. It was a very peculiar situation, and Tsunade was very excited to hear about it. Considering last Tsunade knew, Kurenai wanted to sink her fangs into the youngest Sarutobi boy too. She really wanted to see how that would go. But, as far as Tsunade knew, Shizune and Asuma did not break up, yet. She could withstand a light flirting from Asuma's side. Men had their urges, plus it was none of her business. For all Swande knew, Shizune might even allow him to sleep around. This, however, so, are you visiting Konoha, Miss Nadetsu? The fire daimyo quickly interrupted as he saw Tsunade's eyes darkening. Tsunade looked at him and pursed her lips in displeasure, almost forming a sneer before she distractedly answered, Ah, I think I will have to go home. I just found out it's up for serious uprooting and springtime cleaning.